All right, we are at SommCon 2025 in San Diego. Next up, I have Miss Cha McCoy. Am I pronouncing that correctly?
That's correct. Yeah. The one and only.
Cha squared.
Hey now.
Thank you so much for taking the time to be here. I'm so pumped to talk to you. I got a lot of good things that we're going to talk about today. One of the many things that you've done, developed the Communion, the wine dinner series. I absolutely want to talk to you about that. The Communion Wine and Spirits retail space. You have experience in retail, named Wine Enthusiast 40 under 40. Plenty of experience actually running programs and on the floor in service. Yes. Michelin star restaurants in Portugal and different places. What we're super pumped to talk about today, Wine Pairing for the People, new book coming out.
Right. Woo woo.
Man, I have so many different directions I want to go with you. But let's start with, tell us a little bit about the Communion, the wine dinner series that you developed and how that came to be.
Yeah, thank you for that. And thanks for having me, Raphael.
Yes.
I feel like the Communion is a baby that I birthed that kind of like turned into this machine, and that has been fueling my brand for sure. Now, it was started in my apartment in Harlem, New York. I was super excited to share with people everything I learned and loved about wine from living in Italy and then returning back to the city. It was kind of like, I just went on this pilgrimage of wine, and I was so excited to share with everyone, like, yo, I was just in Italy and I got to tell you all the great things I just learned. How can I do that and get that out at the time? And this is like pre-Instagram, right? So in that case, I was like, oh, I'm going to get as many people, my friends, family in my house, start sharing with them about the wines that I fell in love with out there. Like, there's more than just Pinot Grigio out there, you know? So that was me just simply being excited. I was actually working at a wine retailer in Harlem. So I was access and discounts to good wine. And I was super pumped to kind of share with my community. And that community could have been my next door neighbor who's Dominican. My community is one of my coworkers who is Irish. It was my cousins who would show up. So this community wasn't like specifically to how do I share with just Black folks. It was like, I know you guys ain't going there and drinking these wines because I come to your house and I know this is not
I never get this offered to me.
I never heard, you know. So I'm assuming we as a collective have never heard of these wines. So how can I start exposing people to wines, you know, and wines that maybe are not normally marketed to us. Maybe that's the best way to put it. So during my time at the winery, which is the name of the wine shop, still open on 116th and 8th Avenue, I'm bringing home bangers, like wines I'm falling in love with from returning from living in Italy that I wanted to share with everyone else. So it was this communal gathering, and I was like, okay, well, we're only drinking wine and I need help paying for like food and stuff. So it became this pop-up ticketed event so that I can be able to afford, you know, the chef at this point. And the chef most of them were like friends of mine who did either corporate chefing for banks, you know, in their kitchen, or they just didn't have their own restaurants. So they weren't well-known chefs, but the idea is that they had the pedigree of, you know, working at this or studying at CIA, going to all of the culinary schools, and they were excited to be able to have an outlet that was different than their corporate jobs, right? So, or their clients, maybe. So they just have
free open creativity.
So like, oh, cool, child, you're gonna do this wine dinner series, and you're gonna we could cook what we want. I'm like, yeah, let's come up with something super cool that you love, that I love, and I'll do the wine pairing. So there was a wine dinner. And I use that importantly because they knew the intentions was to be paired. They're cooking dishes that's going to work well with the styles of wines or a region that I was geeked out about. Showcasing for that night or that month or whatever. And so it went on for once a month when it was in my apartment. Then it got too big. We had like 15 people buying tickets off Eventbrite. When my mother said, "You got strangers in your living room?" I said, "Okay, I guess we got to do something else." And I started doing these takeovers at restaurants. That's how that ended up turning into a much larger like wine dinner pop-up series. So
I love that.
That was how the Communion started.
And then you do international trips too, right? I think I saw.
Yes. So I was doing the actual dinners internationally because I also was living in different places, right? So eventually I moved back to Portugal, like you mentioned. I had connections in London, and I was doing the Communion dinners in different places I was either traveling to or places that I already previously lived. I already lived in Italy. I returned back to Rome and did a dinner there. So that's how the spread, I wanted to spread the Communion love by doing these activations in different countries. COVID came talking about trips at a time where I just relocated to Portugal, and the whole point of going to Portugal was to work and kind of develop this idea of doing these wine trips with me based in Portugal, so they can see the part of the wine tourism that maybe you wouldn't see if you worked with someone that's a sommelier or someone who's in the profession. Normally you go with someone who's in tourism, not someone who's in wine.
Right.
When you had a group trip that's based around wine tourism. So I was like, maybe they need to see like the winemaker's perspective or really understand the science of wine. There's going to be some people that's going to geek out about it. And so I got super stoked about trying to do that.
Like an insider look. Yeah.
Collected funds for the first trip for Portugal. And then that, the pandy whammy happened in 2020. And so unfortunately that one didn't kick off. But
and then you just came back to the States after that.
I came back to the States towards the end of 2020.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha. Dang, I love your energy. Like I love.
Thank you.
I want to be. I'm bummed I'm not in New York.
Hey,
I want to be able to like go to see one of these dinners or go to your shop. Like I think the passionate energy in people around certain things is super obvious and it's contagious. So I like your vibe. I like your vibe a lot. Listen, there's a lot of things that we could talk about here, but I wanna kind of keep us focused a little bit on some of these major topics. You are here at SommCon speaking at Floor to Feed, how wine and spirits pros are building influence online. What are some, kind of give us a boiled down version of like, what are the major talking points that you wanted to bring to this table at this seminar?
Yeah, I think that I was also next to folks who are very popular online. I would say my following, maybe if you don't have a large following, my following may seem like it's large, but I was sitting next to someone who has like over 200,000 followers on TikTok. And I'm not even on TikTok, so therefore I got 0 followers, right? So in my mind, I'm like, okay, but there is a seat here that needed to be, how do we express about building a brand online? Now, I think that's important. That's how I even was able to get a book deal, how I was able to show my work to people with all of the wine dinner experiences that I created. So how do I represent those folks who are not here to get followers, but just visibility?
Yeah.
And so I wanted to share the importance of branding yourself or having an online brand. You don't need to be out there cranking out posts every day and liking and throwing hearts everywhere in order for you to, or doing dances in your restaurant, in order for you to get following. I think the important part is having an online presence, period. So that was my goal there, was to show that, hey, just because I showed up, just because I am online, that allowed me to get some of the clients that probably would have never found me if I was quiet. Yeah. And I would say being quiet is not having any existence. So even though I'm not on TikTok, I'm not quiet on the fact that I'm on LinkedIn and I am on Instagram. And just having a presence is better than having no presence. Yes. And I can say that from my own personal or professional brand, as well as the businesses I created, where the Communion has its own Instagram for the shop and the dinners, et cetera. Yeah. As well as me posting the places that I'm at, whether it's here at SommCon or about to go on a trip with Prosecco DOC. All of this is very important, and to expose people like, oh, okay, I didn't either. Folks that follow me, my demographic is mostly other wine professionals. I believe from the the feedback that I get. So a lot of them want to be exposed like, oh, okay, I never even thought about getting, writing a wine book. So the more things I do, hopefully is almost opening the doors for them to see different ways that we can use our talents, our knowledge, and our skill set. One of probably the most largest, I would say, jobs I've ever had or clients I've ever had is being the Charleston Wine and Food Festival beverage director. Okay. That's not something you would normally hear from someone who is the Somm, or maybe you would, but usually is not someone like me. I didn't have this large presence at working as a Somm for 15 years at the same restaurant. And now I'm the beverage director of one of the largest wine and food festivals in the US.
And that came because you had a good presence online already. And they were able to see kind of what you're doing.
As with events, right?
Right.
So I do the Communion. I just started doing events similar to the Communion for clients. And then now people can see the presence of not just me smiling online, but they see my events online. And they're like, like, okay, people know that you work hard with crafting good events. We see how they turn out. We see that it's not just saying I did these things. They actually can see it themselves.
Right.
You know, the proof is literally on Instagram or in everybody else's feedback from there. So there's a lot to say where I'm almost using it more as like a digital resume more than anything, or my portfolio. So I feel like that's where my voice was contributing to that panel.
Yeah. And I mean, I think one of the cool things too about like the media and how it's developing, and obviously I mean, it's been like, you know, I don't know, it's been a while now that we've had like all these platforms like Instagram and TikTok and after Facebook and whatever. But like, I think that, you know, it used to be very much like, you know, people would have like, you'd have to be in a magazine or something, right? Before, like now the beauty of this social media too is that not only can we see, we're like so easily connected to other people, but then also you get to feel the energy from people off of their channels. Also, it's not like you're just reading somebody's periodical or an article of them in a magazine and see a picture of them like, oh, they seem nice. But like you get to actually feed off of people's energy in real time, which I think is a huge plus. Not to mention that, you know, you are much able to connect and portray a different vision of wine now and the way that you interpret it, which is what's going to lead us into our next question, like why it's important to you and what are the things that matter to you. And, you know, it's I think there's a time and place for everything, right? Like there's like these educational bodies that will get you certified, and there's all these different things. But what I really like to see now, we've spoken to a couple of people today, is how they're using their platforms to kind of deliver what the message of wine has been for them historically. And I just think it's really cool. There's a lot of really good players in the game right now doing this thing, and it's just awesome. Okay, let's talk about this bad boy, Wine Pairing for the People. I was super excited to see this. You know, I think I want to get into this a little bit with you because I think it's, I can't wait to get into it. You kind of just shared it with me. So I've been like perusing a little bit, get a little sneak peek here of what you have going on. But yeah, I mean, I'm you wouldn't know because I'm definitely like undercover white boy on the outside, but I'm half Peruvian too. I grew up in Peru. Yeah. I went from 13 to 20 in Lima, and I think a lot of, you know, the way I am now are from a lot of like the senior people in our family from that time of day, and I'm super grateful for it. You know, like how like the Sunday gathering, I don't really have that here in the States. And like the Sunday gatherings down there are just like no joke. You know, it's all about family. It's all about food and culture and whatever the grandparents mostly, I think that they're the ones that drink more than anybody, but like they're the ones who would like show you these like cool beverages that I got this on this trip, or like that's kind of how I got into it. Family was never like a big drinkers really, but there was always these prized collections of bottles that they would bring out, and it wouldn't even have to be wine. It could have been like a vermouth from somewhere, or like and Grandpa always had like this story about like he would tell about. I just thought that was kind of my intro on like different how beverages could be a reflection of different cultures from around the world, which I thought was really cool. And then not to mention I just missed those times too, where we just all used to get together around like family. But anyway, it seems like you're putting all this into an amazing book. So I mean, tell us a little bit about how you got inspired to do this book.
Yeah, I actually want to piggyback on what you said about the different beverages from your culture. That is like, that's the same thing in the book, even though I'm a sommelier. I think most people don't realize how much different beverages are part of the role of a sommelier. I actually was talking with someone at SommCon who recently took their certified sommelier exam, and they was talking about how they were asked about tequila on the exam, and I talked about how I was asked about sake. Yep. And so even in this book, even though it's wine is the thread throughout all of the cultures and cuisines that I talk about, there is moments where I'm talking about pisco. And I'm talking trying to give a little love back with you, huh? I'm talking about sake. I'm talking about rum, because those were important drinks to the cultures that I am talking about, right? So to say that this Italian wine, you know, is going to go well with this dish that's in Chile, that's great. But I want you to also know about what they're drinking for sure in the Bahamas already, right? Yeah. So, what is part of their culture. So I wanted to pay homage to that. And I guess I just want to say that as well. So there's even some cocktail recipes in the book, and this is a wine book. So I think that's interesting that in one of the sessions I just left, they actually talked about how in order to get people to understand that we're going to do better together, meaning wine people with spirit people, with sake people. We're talking about how sales is down in alcohol. We're going to do better if we come together and we try to come up with a larger, like stronger front on we need to educate people correctly on our beverages so they're not feeling like we're doomed if we drink alcohol.
Yeah.
And so I hope people actually also see that in the book as well, even though it is very quietly and, it's not as much the main topic when I talk about the book, but there are actual cocktails in this book, recipes from amazing mixologists, as well as other spirits that is not wine. I talk, again, tea, rum, sake, because I feel like if I'm talking about the culture, then I can't forget the beverages that are from those cultures too.
Yes,
so
for sure.
I just want to at least put a star there because that's a piggyback of your statement. But
on volume 2, you got to do Peru.
I got to do brew.
Peru.
Oh, Peru. I think you said brew. I'm
no.
like beer.
Well, do brew too if you want to.
Yeah, we have beer in
there.
here.
Peru, child. We have the best cuisine in Latin America and possibly the world.
And so I actually mentioned that. But all right, let's jump. We're going straight in. Okay, let's just go straight there now. So
I just got the book and I'm like, oh man, we got Latin America, which is awesome, but then we got our neighbors. We don't have to Peru. I'm sad.
Raphael, give me grace, please.
Okay.
I was in Chile for 3 months, and so I talk about the best food while I'm in Chile was actually the Peruvian restaurants. Everyone was
so you heard it first.
And it wasn't like from my lens. I'm asking people where do I go eat? Where should I, and everybody, because I'm like, go to this restaurant. I'm like, I'm in Chile. I want to learn about Chilean culture. Why do you keep sending me to these Peruvian restaurants? And it was so interesting for me to actually see that dynamic. And I think that's for the first time as someone from New York City. I know there's definitely, amazing Peruvian restaurants around New York City and in New Jersey, of course. Yeah. But I never heard another culture no, don't eat at our restaurants. Eat there at this Peruvian place. So trust me.
You would love it.
I can't wait to visit.
You would love it. The food there, legit, is just, I know obviously I'm biased here, but the food is on another level.
I can't wait to go.
Oh, you'd love it.
And I don't want to take away from that. So the book is definitely centered on the same vein as the pop-up wine dinners. So
okay, gotcha.
The communion is the inspiration, and that's why a little homage to that is in the subtitle as well. Is I wanted people to recognize that my goal in wine is to make wine more accessible. And the way where I'm sure other people here also are making wine accessible in different ways, whether developing apps and, however their work is, I've been called to do it by actually exposing how we can have wine everywhere and that everyone also deserve to have wine. Living in Italy showed me I don't care if you were the janitor or the CEO, everybody was drinking wine.
Yeah.
This wasn't this luxury good
through that.
Yeah, this wasn't this luxury good category that was only for the elite few.
Right.
And that was something with my dinner series, the communion, I wanted to show my family, friends, and neighbors also. So I did that physically with the dinner series, but now it's what's the legacy of that dinner series? And that turned into the store where I was able to sell wines from Brazil, Uruguay, etc., where people I didn't even know these places made wine. And more importantly, now that the store unfortunately closed, I just closed it this past spring.
Oh man, I'm sorry.
But it was almost so then how does the communion, the messaging live on? Yeah. And so the book was obviously already written before the closing of the store, but I guess that's what made my heart feel okay about it, because even though the brick and mortar's closed, the store will get to more people. I mean, the book will get to more people, obviously, than the store will.
So have you been to many of these places?
Yes.
Most of them?
I was, a lot of them are, when you read the stories or there are reflections of my time visiting or literally living in some of the places that I mentioned. There is a lot of New York City connection for some of the countries, meaning that as a girl who had access to a lot of cultures because I was living in New York City, my father was a big inspiration on taking me to different neighborhoods and exploring the foods from different cultures. So some of it is through that lens as well. So I've never been to China, but our family restaurant, which is crazy, is in the heart of Chinatown. So I grew up eating in Chinatown, and I have this kind of fake uncle and fake boyfriend because that's in Chinatown, because they said, oh, you used to wink at this waiter when you were 4. And so now they call this man my boyfriend when I'm in Chinatown with my family. But that's not a typical New York story. That's just something that my family very open to different cultures and being exposed
just to have
New
that
York
access
City.
to is crazy. New York is crazy like that. To the places that you have been within the book. Yeah. What's a top memorable moment that really stuck with you around that really kind of brought it all together? It's like the communion, right? It's damn, this is something really special, something that really impacted you.
Oh, That's hard. I would say that some of my memorable travels that is in a book, whether there was a lot were more solo travels, to be honest. And so being able to spend the time in South Africa and be able to know a lot about the wine, from selling it in the wine shop, and then my boss at the wine shop literally calling the distributor and saying, yes, one of my employees is like telling me she's going to South Africa. Please open the door for her when she arrives. And being able to make real connections in these places, that is what I was always bringing back with my wine dinners.
Yeah.
And so the book is now, I guess, even if I'm not mentioning him by name, I am mentioning him in like heart. Like you've impacted me, and now I want people to know really what's going on with the wines in your region.
Yeah.
And so that's when it comes to the wine stories. Some of them, if they're just like, Brazil is one of my favorite places in the world. I love going to Brazil. I was excited to be able to talk about it, and then also talk about the wine region in Brazil. Even though I've never visited, I do think that is a place that most people should visit.
Yeah. Is there a place where you kind of noticed of like a difference in how people enjoy wine compared to the States? Something that you would just like kind of stood out a little bit differently, or how it was ingrained into the culture?
I would say, so even though Portugal as a country is not in the book, but because I lived in Portugal and was exposed to so many African countries that are not the same that I would see in New York. For example, in my neighborhood in Harlem, there's a lot of Senegalese and folks from West Africa. But living in Portugal, I was exposed to people from Mozambique and Angola. And so I didn't know what their food culture was like.
Yeah.
And yet we have a wine region right next to us. So that's almost the antithesis of what the book is about, right? The fact that here I am having access to all this amazing Portuguese wine, and then I'm having access to Brazilian food that's because they're migrating directly to Portugal, right? This is an ex-colony of Portugal, Angola and Mozambique. And then so the wine list is heavy Portuguese wine, right? So that is what I embodied already. And now living it was almost like, I was like, this is it. Like, people need to know this can happen. Just because you're making food that is from whatever your culture is doesn't mean, and isn't, maybe wine is not made in Angola, but it doesn't mean that your food don't deserve good wine. And so that wasn't a trip. I lived there for close to 2 years, but that is one of my very memorable experiences that kind of put my mission, I guess, to action. Like I saw it happening in front of me, and I was like, if everybody felt like this, then all of the restaurants will have a great wine list, no matter what the cultures are. Yeah,
I love that. God, okay, awesome. Well, listen, we've been doing some blind tastings. You want to taste some wine? I mean, I know you have a little Satin Merceau there.
Yeah, I know. Hope my palate's ready.
All right. Listen, side note, I can't wait to dig into this. This looks awesome. Congratulations on the book. I'm really looking forward to digging into that.
And release date is November 4th. You can pre-order now. So.
Okay, cool. Okay, good to know. Good to know. We'll put a link up for that too. So choose a number between 1 and 12, please.
9.
Okay, sorry. I think we already used 9. Choose a number between 1 and 12 that's not 1, 8, or 9. Or 4. Sorry.
7.
Not 7 either.
Sorry. Keep going.
What about 4, you said?
I think we have 4.
We don't have 4.
No, yeah, we used that already.
2, 6, 10, 11, 13.
11.
11 it is.
So much for me feeling lucky.
All right, perfect.
All right, I'm blind tasting.
And this is a 20% battery.
Okay, we'll make it. We'll make it on that one.
Okay.
This is going to be a quick one. So, Chad, don't touch the glass yet, because time will start when you touch the glass. You will have 90 seconds.
Can I touch my mic? I need space now. Can I do this?
Yeah, you can move the mic. Yeah. Just make sure you're like, don't go too far from the mic.
Oh, you drink it with me?
Yeah.
This is fun.
I don't even remember where half of these are.
Oh, don't touch
Oh my
the mic.
God, you touched the glass. All right. So we're going to... Just kidding. I'm kidding. Wait, what happened? I don't want that. Okay. Time starts when you touch the glass.
I'm
Good
ready.
luck. Go for it.
The ruby red for sure. So it's actually pretty, garnet. Nice clarity. So it gives me a lot of information of the age of the wine. So that's why I wanted to check that first. I'm swirling just because it's out of habit. Don't worry, but
Doesn't hurt it.
yeah, I still stick to the 5 S's. I think everyone should.
What are the 5 S's?
Oh, come on now.
Sip, smell, swirl.
See?
See?
Sight. So, right. So
Savor?
Yes.
All right, there we go. What are you getting on the wine? Anything that comes to you?
Yeah, I went back because it smelled fresh fruit, so I'm able to at least confirm from like the color that is going to be a more youthful wine. So back to age, but there is something interesting that leads me to a more like mushroom earth note. But the first, this is out without me tasting it, I am picking up more of this cherry. And it does smell more like red and black fruit over blue. So that's something. Yeah, definitely mushroom. Sure. Nice acid. When I say nice, I mean it's high, but nicely integrated with the tannins. So I do enjoy it. It's lively. You know, we even say what velvety tannins. So there is this roughness, but still smooth.
All right, coming up on 90 seconds.
Oh,
what do you
shoot.
think these initials are?
Okay, that was real quick.
I know, it goes by quick.
So immediately, because I'm thinking cherry, black and red cherry, as well as mushroom, I'm gonna say it's Pinot Noir. Actually, I just had to I did the blind tasting class early, so. Pinot from, I'm gonna go old world. I want to say Oregon, but I feel like it's going to be France, to be honest. And I would say it's within the last 5 years. So between 2020 and 2023.
French Pinot Noir within the last 5 years. What do we have, Cassandra?
11.
I feel bad.
Oh. Chateauneuf de Pop.
And I should have, all right, now I feel bad. But I mean, I get everything but the grapes.
No, I mean, your calls were really good. It was that ripe, you said cherry a bunch. You said mushroom. You said earthy. That was one of the first things that you said.
Yeah.
God, that's rich. That's good.
Yeah, it actually, now I'm thinking, I don't know if it's the alcohol that is now, like, I believe in this more because it definitely tastes fuller than a Pinot. So that makes more sense.
Yeah, it's a little weightier, maybe. Yeah, it has like a longer finish to it. You did those descriptors were spot on, though. You were on it.
You know, we try. But
Listen, I appreciate you doing this because it's never easy to blind taste, let alone like on camera, filming, and with audio and all this stuff.
I think this is the first one I've done
I appreciate
where someone's filming me. So I think that was the pressure. The lights.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Cheers.
You're the best.